Hey folks, so this is a bike I was working on the other day, and it's a 2019 Trek Madone. As far as the latest version as of this video, February 2019. And anyway, what's basically is one that I disassembled, and then I'm in the process now of reassembling it. It's when the customer had a little mishap on it, so Trek did some little repair, some blemishes and such on the frame, and then sent us a new fork. So just getting it all together. As far as the handlebar and stem configuration, I just left that all in place. Just basically pulled all the cables and everything directly out of the frame. So the differences between this frame and the previous Madone is that the bar and stem combination are two pieces now. So you can adjust your angle of the bars and maybe put different configurations. But if you kind of look down at the steer tube, it's basically just a standard 1.1" steer tube. You got some flats on the sides, and then you got that little channel in the front. And as the front brake hose is going to pass through that stem and then just go down along, and there's a little channel on the front of the steer tube, goes into a hole near the bottom of the steer tube, and then from there it just passes down along the left or the non-drive side fork leg, exits out there. I use those little reverb barb, RockShox barb there to help route that hose through. Worked really well. But this is the bottom of the stem. You got 4 bolts there that kind of bolt onto the cap top there. I basically removed them just so we can get a look in there and see how this looks. You can see all 4 the cables and the 2 hoses there just pull out, go through the back side of the handlebar and then go right into the stem there, and then from there they'll route downwards into the basically underneath all the little spacers, and then you've got the little top cap there, and you can kind of see the upper bearing is a larger diameter bearing, and then your little compression race thing there has the little holes on either side, front, and then 2 on the side there. So just got the cables, they pass right through there and then go down into the frame, or the hose goes into the fork from this point. So it's actually pretty easy. It's got some pretty big holes that go into the frame. So we've got this is the cable stop basically that bolts to the frame, and you can see how much room there is to work around down there. But basically got your cable stop. There's a little groove where you can zip tie the rear brake hose there. I found that if you leave the bottom bracket, cranks and bottom bracket out, it's going to be a lot easier. You can say work your fingers in there and kind of help guide the tubes out. That's the rear brake hose, comes out that far back hole, and the hole just in front of that is for your speed cadence sensor. But yeah, I'd recommend wearing like some rubber gloves, latex gloves or whatever, nitrile gloves, because they're you can stick in your fingers in there, get some little carbon splinters or whatnot. So I've got the hose there, about to zip tie it down to the stop, and then we're pulling the inner wires basically through. They're going to come through, and then there's a little hole there under the bottom of the bottom bracket, and then they're just going to route through there'll be a little cable guide there. So I'm pulling I've got the rear shift cable pulled through. Now I'm just doing the front here. So basically just pull the loop out, and these are actually probably easier than the ones before, but once you get the cables pulled through, you just set the stop up there. The 2 furthest bolts out, that's where it bolts to the frame. The 2 inner bolts is for your water bottle cage. But yeah, I've got the 2 shift cables there. I'm about to put the little plastic cable guide in place there. So I like to kind of pull on these just to make sure I don't have them crossed over. It's always good to check at this point. You don't want to get everything routed only to find out they're crossed. So got the rear one passed through. It basically passes through the chainstay, X's out there on a hole in the back. So mechanically, you want to use this ferrule with a long tail on it. You don't want that cable to be sawing into the frame there. So then this is a little cable stop that rests into the frame there. So the reason they do this is you can run on a variety of derailleurs. If you run in a Di2, it's just a little rubber grommet that fits in there around the wire. So yeah, that's just going to basically, the little ferrule is going to plug in from there, and then that's what it's going to look like once you get your housing and everything, get the derailleur hooked up. So I've got my little rubber grommet there. I've got my compression nut, my olive, about to pull out the little red stealth barb there, and then got my the actual barb, Shimano barb, and then hooked it up there. Got the brake set up, and now we're about to just hook up the front derailleur cable. So yeah, it's it's pretty easy to do. I really like using those little barbs. I use them for two different things. One, it makes a good plug if you have to cut these hoses and pull them out, or reinstall them. Then it gives you something to hook you can use a brake housing or something else to just pull it right back into place later on. So anyway, hopefully you found the video helpful. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.